They said it couldn't happen. They said Americans would never fight back. They were wrong. Right now, in the frozen streets of Minneapolis, we're watching something that the mainstream media is desperately trying to hide from you. A pardoned January 6th patriot bloodied, soaked in freezing water, surrounded by a screaming mob of hundreds, refuses to back down. Federal immigration agents being hunted through hotel hallways by masked Antifa militants. Ordinary citizens stopped at makeshift checkpoints and interrogated about whether they work for the government. A mother of three shot dead after allegedly ramming federal officers with her vehicle, now being turned into the next George Floyd. This is Minneapolis, January 2026, and it's a war zone. But here's what they don't want you to know: the Patriots are winning. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening in Minnesota right now, and I'm warning you, this is going to make your blood boil. Because while CNN and MSNBC are showing you tearful immigrants and painting ICE agents as jackbooted thugs, the real story is being buried. The real story is that for the first time in years, Americans are standing up to the mob. They're saying no more. And the radical left is absolutely losing their minds over it. Let me set the stage for you. Minneapolis, the same city that was burned to the ground during the George Floyd riots, the same city where radical activists literally created an autonomous zone. Remember Chaz in Seattle? Same playbook, different city. For weeks now, thousands of federal immigration officers have been conducting what the Trump administration calls Operation Metro Surge. They're doing their jobs. They're enforcing immigration law. They're arresting people who are in this country illegally, including, and this is important, murderers, rapists, gang members, and drug dealers. Now, the left wants you to believe that ICE agents are just randomly grabbing innocent people off the streets. That's not what's happening. These are targeted operations against people who have committed serious crimes or who have final orders of deportation. But here's what happened that changed everything. On January 7th, an ICE agent named Jonathan Ross was conducting an operation when a woman named Renee Nicole Good allegedly rammed her vehicle toward him. The Department of Homeland Security says Ross fired in self-defense, fearing for his life. Good was killed. Now, immediately, and I mean within hours, the radical left mobilized. They didn't wait for an investigation. They didn't wait for body camera footage. They didn't wait for the facts. They declared this woman a martyr and turned Minneapolis into a war zone. And when I say war zone, I'm not being hyperbolic. We're talking about masked agitators surrounding federal vehicles, throwing projectiles at officers, setting up roadblocks, and creating what they literally called autonomous zones in residential neighborhoods. Let me read you what one resident said. This is from social media. A man driving through his own neighborhood was stopped by a mob of these activists. They surrounded his SUV. They demanded to search his vehicle. They interrogated him about whether he was working with ICE. In America, on American soil, citizens being stopped and questioned by vigilante mobs. And the Minneapolis police, they issued a statement basically saying they couldn't do anything about it because they were overwhelmed. But here's where the story takes a turn. And this is what the media doesn't want you to see. On January 17th, a patriot, a man named Jake Lang, organized what he called a March Against Minnesota Fraud. Now, Jake Lang is someone the left loves to demonize. He was at the Capitol on January 6th. He was charged. He served time, and President Trump pardoned him. Whether you agree with that or not, this man has every right under the First Amendment to organize a peaceful rally. Jake Lang and maybe 10 to 15 supporters showed up at Minneapolis City Hall. They had signs, they had American flags, they were there to support ICE, to support law enforcement, and to speak out against the fraud that's been documented in Minnesota's refugee resettlement programs. Billions of dollars, folks, billions, going to child care centers in fraudulent schemes. This isn't conspiracy theory. This has been investigated and documented. So Jake Lang shows up with his small group, and what happens? Hundreds, some reports say thousands of counter-protesters descended on them. And these weren't peaceful counter-protesters having a respectful disagreement. Video shows these people surrounding Lang and his supporters. They're throwing water balloons, but it's not just water, folks. It's freezing cold in Minneapolis. We're talking temperatures below zero. You throw water on someone in that weather, you're trying to give them hypothermia. You're trying to hurt them. The videos show these counter-protesters, and yes, we can call them what they are. Antifa, radical leftists, whatever label you want, physically attacking Jake Lang. He claimed he was stabbed. You can see him with visible injuries on his head. You can see him being hit, being pushed, being assaulted. And the